What's happening, people? Very good evening to you all, man, and welcome to, you know what? This is our last podcast for the year, man. The 2021 end of year boxing awards. Myself, the boxing lowdown, Daryl, joined by my father, the main man, Mr. Controversial. And speaking of controversial, what's that you got behind there?
Mexico.
Hey, you know what? I'm guessing you've got that up there because you haven't got your T-shirt yet from me. I didn't know that we had 2 bank holidays this week,
okay.
So I wasn't able to send a T-shirt to you in time for the show, but it's on its way. But I like that you're getting in the spirit of things. You've got Canelo and Eddie up there. Could that be an indication for the awards later on today? We'll see.
Might be. We'll have to wait and see.
But what's been happening anyway,
I've actually got some awards of my own I want to give out as well.
Oh, you have, yeah?
The ones that you're giving out. So, yeah, looking forward to this.
It should be a good show. Should be a good show, man. And as always, guys, you know the drill. When you come in, don't forget, hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell button for any notifications, for any alerts or any videos that I post or any live streams that I do.
One question to you before we start.
Yeah?
You want payday?
I love a payday. I love a payday. I love a payday, man.
Yeah, wouldn't we all?
Yeah. But yeah, big up everybody. You know, our last show of the year, man. It's been a very good journey. This year, seen the podcast grow for sure. We've had a lot of great people come in here, join the chat every week. It's great to meet new people, man, talk boxing. And, you know, we don't always have to agree on the same sort of things, but it's been great. Do you know what I mean? We met a lot of good people along the way. Hopefully 2022 will be that year. You know what I mean? Hope we should get 1K subs that year for sure. We still haven't able to hit that number, but I'm sure in 2022 we will get there. So, yeah, very happy with everything. Let's go straight to the comments first of all. We've got Francisco in the building. He's put word up, Hermanos. Have I pronounced that right? Is it Hermanos, Hermanos? Like, let me know. But it's Spanish for brothers. So big up Francisco either way. Francisco in the building. And, yeah, Laurie, just your quick thoughts, you know what I mean? Just the year of boxing. You know, in your words, like, has it been a good year? I know that's really for the ending, but just before we get into the awards, what's your thoughts this year?
All things being considered, it's been a very good year for boxing. When you consider the start of the year, much like now, we're going through COVID, which has affected, let's face it, the whole world. There's not one corner of life that's not been affected by COVID. So, yeah, I think boxing came out of it quite well, really. We had our fair share of fights, usual great performances, great fights, upsets, you know what I mean, controversy, everything. Bit no different to in normal years, man. So, yeah, I think boxing's come out of it quite well, to be honest, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Big up to everybody, man. Go to some comments here. We've got Conrad in the building. He's put good evening. I'm looking forward to this one. I'm looking forward to it as well, bro. Harvey's in the building. He's put, yo, what's up, guys? Big up Harvey in the building. Laurie, I'm just gonna set up. I'm just gonna get these awards up, and then we'll get to it. But yeah, you said that you've got your own set of awards. I don't even know what to. I don't have an idea what that is, but I just know it's going to be something that I'm going to laugh at.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a light-hearted touch, keeping the festive spirit of things. Nothing too serious. Just a few people I thought we should be remembered for what they bring to the table, or not, as the case may be. You know, yeah.
But yeah, good Christmas. Obviously, New Year coming up, but you know, like your Christmas, your break so far. You know what I mean? I know you've been busy at AFTV Studios, but yeah, how's that been?
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, Christmas for me. I mean, we spoke off camera, Daryl. Christmas for me is nowadays is pretty much a period of reflection to honour some of the people in our family. God rest their souls who lost their life last year and in recent years. So I tend not to get too excited about Christmas nowadays, but I do appreciate the break and I do appreciate the festive season. But it's just that I celebrate it maybe different to what a lot of other people do. But yeah, man, I mean, I welcome the time of the year. And yeah, I had a decent Christmas. Kept myself active, tried not to overdo it, eating and drinking. so that I can go into 2022 in a fairly decent shape. So both physically and mentally. So yeah, I'm feeling not too bad. Looking forward to doing this show, man. I always find doing this show very therapeutic for me because I enjoy it so much. So yeah, I hope the people out there watching enjoy it too. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely do. Let's get straight into it then, man. The end of year 2021 Boxing Awards, the Boxing Lowdown Awards for 2021. Let's get straight into it, man, and let's get into it. Let's deal with Fighter of the Year for the first one. Yeah, we'll do Fighter of the Year. I'm going to share my screen. Let me know when you can see, and I've got the Fighter of the Year nominees up here for you to have a look at. Now, for one of these guys, he thinks he shouldn't be in the nominees at all. So I want to get your thoughts on it. Fighter of the Year nominees. First of all, Laurie, you can see the screen, right?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So first of all, we have Josh Taylor, the undisputed light welterweight champion of the world, picking that up with a fantastic win over Jose Ramirez earlier on this year. You've got Canelo Alvarez, the undisputed 168-pound champion, defeated the likes of Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant, and of course Anthony Yildirim. Can't forget about that one. So yeah, we've got Canelo in there. We've got the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury. Now this is the one that Shane was cussing me on. He don't think Fury's done enough to be in that list in the top 6. Fury obviously getting that victory again over Deontay Wilder, but that was his only bit of action for this year. Alexander Usyk moved up to heavyweight. We already knew that. Defeated Anthony Joshua in a fight where he wasn't considered the favorite in Anthony Joshua's backyard. You've got Stephen Fulton Jr., had a career best win last time out, unifying the bantamweight division. And then you've got George Kambosos, shocking the world, defeating Teofimo Lopez and becoming the unified lightweight champion. So they're the 6 nominees there. Do you want me to start with my pick, Laurie, or do you want to go with your pick first?
Yeah, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay. Well, my Fighter of the Year, I hear what Shane's saying about Fury. Fury is not my Fighter of the Year. It was close because the others, some of these guys have got a very good, they've got a very good claim to the throne for Fighter of the Year. I know Canelo has got it on most people's books. Josh Taylor becoming the first fighter from the UK to pick up all 4 of the belts. Usyk defeating AJ in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, literally his backyard, in a fight not many people expected him to win. Overcoming huge size difference advantages, overcoming a lot. Again, in the backyard of another fighter, taking the belts. It's a tough one, man. Fulton Jr. taking away Figueroa's O. Kambosos defeating Lopez. For me, I'm going to say, because I'm over-elaborating now, but I have to go with Canelo. And the reason why I'm going for Canelo, and I get it, this won't be your popular pick, I'm sure. But for me, I'm picking Canelo because he was active this year, albeit he does hold the card, so he is able to make those decisions, whereas other fighters are not able to. So does that give Canelo a bit of an advantage over others? Maybe. But he was active this year, fought 3 times. He took Billy Joe Saunders' O, fantastic win, knocked him out. Caleb Plant knocked him out. Did something in the 168-pound division that we haven't seen before, and that is become undisputed champion. So for me, you could give a very honorable mention to the likes of Usyk, Kambosos, but I'll give it to Canelo Alvarez for me, just based on the fact that he's got 3 fights this year, 3 wins, 3 knockouts, took 2 unbeaten fighters' O's, and becoming the first undisputed champion in 168 pounds history.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to hate on that. Some people may be surprised, but I'm going to go with Canelo, assuming he's clean.
Wow.
Assuming he's clean, I'm going to go with Canelo. Because that's the thing. We don't know 100%, do we? But, in terms of what you said, he's the most active fighter. He fought 3 times this year, compared to Josh Taylor once, Terence Crawford, people like that once. So, yeah, man, you have to go with that. His activity, the fact that he unified and cleaned out the division, the fact that he had some very good wins against guys who were previously unbeaten. You've got to say Canelo. I mean, listen, man, I've said it several times in between all the criticism. The one thing I will never say is that this guy's not a great fighter. I do have issues with him. The Anthony Yildirim one, making him mandatory for his belt, that was poor. But you know, he disposed of him as expected. And then yeah, there are one or two things that surround Canelo I don't like, but the one thing you can't say is that he's not a great fighter. And so yeah, I would have to say that he is. One guy that deserves an honourable mention, he's not on your list there, that I would have included, was Shakur Stevenson. He became a 2-time world champion.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would have had him there. I probably wouldn't have had Fury in there, although he had a very good win. But it was only the one fight, and even then, we almost had to drag him, kicking and screaming to that fight, didn't we?
Yeah.
With the way it went on. So I wouldn't have had him. I wouldn't have had Tyson Fury on there. Although that being said, it was a great fight, and when you're the heavyweight champion of the world, that does carry a lot of significance. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree at all with Canelo Alvarez, to be honest.
Nonito's on there. Do you think he could be an honourable mention? Somebody, you know, he fought twice last year. 39 years old, still looking good, world champion.
Yeah. I wouldn't hate on that either. I wouldn't have him above Canelo, but yeah, I would see why some people would mention him. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, interesting start. Let's have a look at some of the comments here. See what people are saying for their fighter of the year. We'll get on to the other. We haven't got no comments yet. Okay, cool. Everyone's just listening to what we're saying. So yeah, I'm okay, cool. I'm really. I was expecting a bit of resistance there, but you know what?
Pushback, were you? No, I mean, I would qualify. Some people might watching this, they might say, "Given is Laurie being a little inconsistent?" Because they might say, and I could forgive them for thinking that. How comes Laurie's got Canelo as his fighter of the year, but hasn't got him as his pound for pound number one? And I'll explain why. Because with the pound for pound number one, given the fact, this is not opinion, this is fact, that Canelo has tested positive performance enhancing drugs, that calls into question some of his previous wins. Yeah. However, since then, we have to assume he's clean until he gets busted again, if he ever gets busted again or whatever. So in terms of this year, or, you know, the year just gone, we're moving into 2022. Obviously, he hasn't failed any PEDS tests that we know of. So we have to assume that he's clean. So that's why I said, assuming that he's clean, he's my fighter of the year. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the significance. Pound for pound, some of those other victories are definitely tarnished. No doubt about it. So he will not get my pound for pound number one. But in terms of the performances this year, yeah, he's got the best ledger, shall we say.
Conrad Boxon said here, hard to argue against Canelo given the activity. One thing before we move on to the next, award. Does Canelo have a bit, he has a bit of an advantage, doesn't he? Because he's able to navigate these fights a lot easier than somebody like a Josh Taylor, who I'm sure if he had the opportunity, he'd like to fight 3 times a year, and that might put him in the argument for being fighter of the year. So does Canelo have an advantage in that sense over these other guys where he's more likely to get the fighter? I mean, you still got to go in and put in the work. He's still got to go in and beat these guys, and convincingly. But has he got more of an advantage where compared to like a Alexander Usyk, where he gets to fight 3 times a year, everybody wants to fight him, and you know he's beating these guys, and he's getting himself more likely to be in a position to be awarded the fighter of the year because of what, you know, his star power can bring him.
Absolutely, that's a great point. Again, Canelo fans will say, well, actually, he's fought himself into that position to be able to do that. But there's no doubt that, yes, Canelo does have a lot of sway. I mean, you saw that with the Avni Yildirim situation. He basically called up Suleiman and said, listen, make this man mandatory. Yeah. Suleiman was saying, well, how can we do that? He's just coming off a loss. Hasn't fought for 2 years. Canelo put his foot down and said, listen, man, you're going to make this guy mandatory and I'm going to fight and beat him. And that's exactly what happened. So, yeah, you're right. He does hold a lot of sway. Some people would say, but he's fought his way into that position. I guess it depends on how you look at it. The fans won't have a problem with what he's done. That's the fanboys, Canelo fanboys. Fans of the sport, however, people like me and you will question that type of thing. But you can't argue he's had a great year. So, yeah, I've got no real problem in giving him.
Big up IA in the building here. He's put, yes, guys. He's also put, by the way, Josh Taylor faking a knee injury because he can't make weight. So Canelo boxing 3 times a year is down to his will and grind. So yeah, he's not convinced with Josh Taylor, man. He thinks he faked that knee injury. I mean, why? I mean, I reckon. Yeah. I mean, I don't think he's got much to worry about with Jack Catterall.
Jack Catterall. I mean, listen, we know that Josh likes a drink. He likes to party. So there might be an element of truth in it. But I'm trying not to sound disrespectful now, but even a weight-drained Josh Taylor walks through, and he said Adam Catterall, Jack Catterall.
Don't say Adam Carroll. That's my bad.
Some people might say Jack Catterall, Adam Catterall might give him a better fight, but I'm not going to say it. But yeah, listen, man, come on now. I don't think Josh Taylor is ducking Jack Catterall, but there may be an element of truth. But I can't see Josh Taylor faking a knee injury. To be honest, nah.
Big up Mohammed Zishan here in the comments. He's put, I could see that Laurie is now a die-hard Canelo fan with that green screen.
No. There's just a bit of irony, man. Just having a bit of fun.
Listen, he didn't get that T-shirt in time, Mohammed. I don't know if you tuned into the last show, but he didn't get that T-shirt in time for him to wear it. So this is the next best thing. He'll be wearing the T-shirt next week, though. We'll get him to wear it next week for you guys, for sure. But without further ado, let's move on to our next category. I'll share my screen again. Bear with me. It's actually, this is actually quite technical stuff here, man. Just to navigate through here, but we're good. We're good. Let me know when you can see the screen anyway. The next category is the fight of the year. So we did fighter of the year. Now we've got the fight of the year. Here are the 6 choices. I'll go through them quickly. We've got Estrada versus Gonzalez 2. Happened earlier on in the year. Fantastic fight that was. Hated the ending, by the way, because I thought that Gonzalez did more than enough to win that, but he didn't get the win. I thought he was wrong. I thought that could have been a robbery, but before that, the fight was brilliant. You've got Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez. Again, we spoke about it earlier. Brilliant fight to become undisputed at 140. Josh Taylor knocking Ramirez down twice, but was in a bit of trouble himself. Didn't have it all his own way. Brilliant fight. Really absorbing. Fury Wilder 3. Just unreal fight, man. Both guys hitting the canvas. Fury getting the knockout win in the 11th round, or was it the 10th round? I think it was the 11th. And it was just a brilliant fight, man. Williamson and Cheeseman, dramatic. Dramatic ending. The knockout up until then was just a war of attrition. Brilliant fight that was. Probably stole the show. Then you've got Charlo and Castano. Another fantastic fight. Went all the way. Actually was a draw, this fight. A lot of people thought Castano did enough to win. And there's looking like that's going to get a rematch for that next year. And then you've got Kambosos and Lopez, man. This fight right here, probably your personal favorite, Laurie, in terms of who won the fight. But again, the action was brilliant. Kambosos getting the upset. Both men hitting the canvas in this fight as well. Excuse me. And some brilliant fights to pick from here. I know that there were some other good fights as well to add, but I've only got 6s. So that's what we're working with. I'm going to start off with my fight of the year. Listen, I guess in terms of significance, you look at Fury Wilder 3 and you think about, the build-up going into that fight, the characters on show, the significance, heavyweight championship fight. You'd be hard-pressed not to go there. But for me, if we're talking about just fight where I'm just like, I was on the edge of my seat for Fury and Wilder for sure. But for me, it's got to be either, and I'm going to pick it between these two, it's got to be either Estrada Gonzalez 2 and Williamson and Cheeseman. Now, I know Williamson and Cheeseman, it wasn't even the main fight on the bill, but it was just such a great fight. And the ending was just, the knockout was brutal. It was a great fight. I think for me, like, other fights are more significant. Yeah, for sure. It doesn't, like, Williamson and Cheeseman was not on the level of Kambosos and Lopez, in terms of what they were fighting for. Estrada and Gonzalez 2 for me probably would have taken it, but because I was so disappointed with the ending and how it went, and if we're going by personal choices here, I'm going to go for Williamson and Cheeseman. I thought that fight was just unbelievable. It was on the edge of your seat stuff. It was just, Cheeseman, I don't know how he made it that far, but it was just up and down. And it was just brilliant to watch, man. For me, Fury Wilder 3 could be up there, but when I think about it, after the 6th round, it was really all Fury. Do you know what I mean? It was pretty dominant. I think the end was pretty, you could really tell it was coming. So in terms of competitiveness, it kind of lost that edge after the 5th, 6th round. Taylor Ramirez is up there, Charlo Castano. But for me, Williamson and Cheeseman is my fight of the year, my personal fight of the year.
No, I wouldn't argue with that. You know, that was a hellacious fight, man. And like you said, with that brutal knockout to go with it, man, it was definitely a fight to remember. Definitely my British fight of the year. Internationally, I'll probably go with Fury and Wilder, given the significance of the fight, given the backdrop to this fight, the grudge between the two of them, and the sort of the tension that was there right throughout. The thrills and spills, I would go for Fury and Wilder. But if I'm looking at it from a technical point of view, the Charlo Castano, I really enjoyed that fight, man, because that was two high quality technician guys going at it. You know what I mean? Letting their hands go. There was lots of skill. There was lots of ebb and flow. So yeah, man, I'll probably go Fury Wilder, but honorable mention for Williamson and Cheeseman and Charlo and Castano.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Charlo Castano I didn't mention, but yeah, like you said, that was ebb and flow literally all the way, and it ended in a draw. That fight did. Them two are going to go at it again next year. For me, the only reason why Fury Wilder 3 didn't get it, like I said, for me, was that I know it just after the midway point, Wilder was completely spent. He was just taking a beating, really, but you just got the sense he was always in it. And I think that was why we was all on the edge, because you just don't know what was going to happen. Wilder, what he did to Fury in the 4th, knocking him down twice. You know, yeah, and just the characters, the significance. I can understand why that would be fight of the year to most people. But yeah, in terms of just pure thrills, pure spills, all that, I think Williamson and Cheeseman, for me, I was literally like edge of the seat, standing up, like hands over my head, like what the heck, like it was that kind of fight for me. But yeah. So you're saying Fury Wilder 3, Lloyd?
Yeah, I'm edging Fury Wilder 3. Although, listen, if someone said Williamson Cheeseman, I would not argue with that at all. And even if they said Charlo Castano, because like I said, the skill levels on display with that fight was very high from both men as well. So yeah, and either one could have won it. I understand some people would have had Castano ahead. I'm not arguing with that either. So yeah, man.
Let's go. Got quite a lot of comments here, man. Conrad has said here, I can't believe you've got Cheeseman on that list. So he can't believe it. I know what people are thinking. They're going to be like, oh, in terms of significance, that fight was not that kind of like, you know what I mean? But I'm just talking about a fight that I really enjoyed. Like, I really enjoyed it. It was just a dramatic fight. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that the skill level was up there with those guys. I'm not saying that the significance of the fight was up there with the rest of those guys, but just my personal opinion. Mohammed Zishan says here, Fury Wilder 3. Conrad says here, Fury Wilder at number 1, Kambosos Lopez number 2, and Taylor Ramirez out of that list. That's his number 3. Eddie JB has put here, to miss out on Junior Farr versus Joseph Parker is a travesty. Listen, man, Joseph Parker redeemed himself. Conrad Boxing has said here, Parker Chisora was good as well. It was good. IA has put here, all fights were entertaining, but Estrada versus Gonzalez showed the most skills. Again, I think I'm being biased here, but I think if Gonzalez got that win, I probably would have picked that one. But I was so disappointed with the outcome of that fight. That was pretty much close to a robbery for me. I can't believe
it. That was
I can't believe they didn't give Chocolatito that fight, man. I can't believe it. So I think that was just a sour ending of that fight, kind of persuaded.
There was that fight, and there was the Oscar Valdez fight. I was very unhappy with that. Both with the way they allowed him to fight after he'd failed the drugs test, and the fact that they just robbed the Brazilian guy. What's his name? Shit, I forget his name now.
Oh shit, I forgot his name. I know you're talking about, but yeah, Karen.
Yeah.
Stefan has put here, what's up, guys? I'm a bit late, but I don't consider Canelo as the fighter of the year. For me, it's Usyk or Fulton. Both won significant fights that split opinion. Can you see where Stefan's coming from?
Yeah, but I think given the activity and the fact that he cleaned out the division, you can't really argue with Canelo, to be honest.
Francisco says here, exactly, Laurie. For me, top-level competitive strategic pro boxing, it was Charlo versus Castano. But because of its significance for the sport, that award should go to Lopez versus Kambosos. Stefan has said here, Canelo had a great year, but he won fights where nobody gave his opponents a prayer to begin with. So he's saying Canelo shouldn't get it.
Well, you know, I could see why some people would have a problem with him getting it. You know what I mean? But I mean, I just try to be honest and say, listen, I'm assuming that he's clean, because one of the big problems I've had with Canelo is this whole thing over the drugs thing. I don't think he's been punished sufficiently, and I don't think enough people take into account what he did. And it's not like what he alleged to have did. We know he did it. And the excuses about the meat and all that type of stuff, I'm not buying that at all. And it's also a case for people saying that, you know, is he still cheating? Because, you know, when they're going up the levels like that, that tells me that he's been given favors that he shouldn't have been given. But anyway, we have to assume that he's clean in this last year anyway. And if that is the case, then he's cleaned out the division. And we also have to be fair and say that in December of 2020, he did beat Callum Smith, another, at the time, undefeated fighter. So I think, yeah, not this year, but it was right at the end of the previous year. So all things being considered, I think, yeah, he deserves it. Like I said, I'm not going to anoint him as pound for pound number one. The guy I was trying to remember, the Brazilian guy, was Robson Conceicao. That was
that's it. Yeah.
It was a bad night for boxing, man. In fact, that left a real bad taste in my mouth. That did. The fact that he was allowed to fight after having failed a drugs test, then he quite clearly lost. I don't care the fact that he had a good couple of last rounds or whatever. He clearly lost all the early rounds, and it was just a robbery. You know what I mean? That was just a stitch up. That left, like I said, a very bad taste in my mouth. But there you go.
Add to the fact as well that, you know, before that fight, Valdez getting popped dirty.
Well, this is what I'm saying. He shouldn't have been allowed to fight. He should have lost his title right there and then. And then the fact that they allowed him to fight to get that payday, then they go and stiff Robson Conceicao on the cards. And then after that, to see that in his hometown, Valdez, they erected a statue in his name. I just thought that was so poor.
Yeah.
So poor. It was unbelievable. To see that a drugs cheat can get a statue in his own town. I mean, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? But hey, man, you know what I mean? We won't dwell on that. We're trying to keep it positive. But yeah.
Stefan says here, Estrada Gonzalez 2 was fight of the year, but the decision ruined it. So Charlo and Castano get it for me. Big up our bro Shane in the building here. He was cussing me for putting Fury on that list, and he's saying Nonito Donaire, like I said earlier, should have got fighter of the year. Well, who I said could have been in the category as well.
I'm surprised Shane didn't nominate Bivol.
Guys, going for the Nonito Donaire, man. 39 years old, still doing his thing. Can you understand why people are going for Donaire?
Yeah, I can, yeah. But personally, I wouldn't have gone for him, but he definitely deserves an honourable mention.
Yeah. Stefan has said here, the talk before Usyk Joshua was AJ being too big, having a size advantage, etc. You know, all the talk before Canelo versus Plant and Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders was what round he'd stop him. So basically what he's saying is that Canelo was a significant favourite in those fights that he won. So why should he be fighter of the year over Usyk, who wasn't the favourite, who was fighting in his opponent's backyard? You know, these are the sort of conversations that you could have when deciding who your fighter of the year is. And I don't really have an argument there. I mean, I can see where Stefan is coming from. Like I said earlier, I think Canelo does have the advantage when he's able to, you know, call the shots. He's able to navigate around the fights a lot easier than somebody like a Josh Taylor. Do you know what I mean? If he wants to fight 3 times a year, he could do it. For Josh Taylor, it might not be that simple. So, yeah, I get it. I do get it. Francisco says here, I've always disliked the fact that the Fight of the Year award is usually given to an exciting brawl. And I understand that those can be great and worthy, but I prefer skilled boxing matches. True?
Yeah, I'm with that, because that is why I had Charlo Castano so high, because to me, when I watch that fight, man, I'm watching high levels of skill at the very highest level in the sport between 2 very, very good fighters. And they produce a great fight all round the board, you know what I mean? So it's thrills and spills, ebb and flow, and great skills to match. So it's a bit like watching a football match. It's not necessarily a 6-5 win or, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. It's two really good teams going at it, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I see where he's coming from on that. And that is why I said I'd nominated the Castano Charlo fight.
But what is your fight of the year, man? Your fight of the year is Fury Wilder 3, isn't it?
Yeah, I had Fury Wilder 3, yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah. Conrad Boxing said that was a boxing masterclass on the very highest level. He's talking about Charlo and Castano, I'm sure. Yeah, happy with that. Fight of the year so far. We've got, for me, Williamson and Cheeseman. Just a personal opinion for me. Laurie, yours is Fury and Wilder 3. And fighter of the year, we both went for Canelo. Just to sum it up before we move on to our next category. So let's get straight onto that next category, man. It's going to be knockout of the year. Laurie, gonna speak on this. We got quite a few to have a look at. So let's go through these, man. Some great knockouts over this year. This is a tough one, but we'll go through them. Fury Wilder 3. You know, Wilder literally got spun with that knockout, man. It was a brutal way to end the fight. Again, the significance of that fight, what it meant for the rest of the heavyweight division, and just to round off a great fight with a knockout like that. You know, I think you've got to add that in there. Rosado, this was a brilliant knockout as well. The underdog in this fight was brought in as the opponent. Beautiful counter shot. Literally beautiful. Put him to sleep. Well, didn't put him to sleep, but he was knocked out. It was a great shot. And, you know, because of the odds in this fight, we also can also talk about this one here. But because of the odds in this fight, and, you know, no one was expecting him to win, you know, coming in as the opponent, great knockout win. Valdez against Burchell, I kind of feel guilty putting this one in there now due to how Valdez, you know, popping dirty in his next fight. But it was a fantastic knockout that he scored over Burchell. You know, stunning. Smith and Castillo, this one right here, literally had his opponent quivering on the canvas. A beautiful shot from Callum Smith. His first fight up at light heavyweight. He scored devastating knockouts before, Callum Smith has, and this was up there. You know, his opponent was in a really bad way. Thankfully, he's all right now. But that was a chilling knockout from Callum Smith. Kiko Martinez over Kid Galahad. Just the sheer shock factor and just the way how it happened, the way how Galahad was flattened out of nowhere, really. It was just a beautiful shot. I mean, I know he knocked him down previously, but those knockdowns came out of nowhere. And just the way how it happened, man, was unbelievable. It was a beautiful one-punch knockout. Same with this one here. Ben lined up Algieri with a 1-2, actually. And Algieri literally just crumbled to the floor. Brilliant work from Ben up until that knockout. And the knockout was a thing of beauty as well. My KO of the year, we'll start off with me first. This is tough, man. It might have to be, for me, I mean, Valdez Burchell could have got it. It probably would have got it for me because the way how he slipped the punches and landed the shot on the counter, Valdez, you know, that does qualify as probably, it could be my knockout of the year. Rosado as well. But I don't know, man. I'm just looking at Smith and Castillo, the way how the opponent was quivering on the floor. Literally, his body, he was shaking on the floor. So, I don't know. Maybe Callum Smith might get it for me. Just due to the fact, I mean, I would have gave it to Valdez. Maybe I should give it to him and not be biased about it. But just the way how we popped dirty in the next fight just kind of puts a black mark on it for me. Smith and Castillo.
Right,
Smith and Castillo.
Me, I'm not giving Valdez anything, man. To me, the guy's a drugs cheat. And I don't think for 1 minute that he was just doing it with the Robson Conceicao fight. I think he's probably been doing it for a while. So no, I'm going to disregard it, even though it was a very knockout and a highlight reel knockout. I'm not going anywhere near Oscar Valdez. The guy's a cheat. I'm going out of that list. I'm going for Martinez Galahad for the sheer fact that Martinez was such underdog for that fight. I mean, I remember saying to you that I had no interest in even watching that fight because I just couldn't see any way of him winning. I thought, as many people did, that he was just brought over here so that Galahad could add a highlight reel knockout of his own to his resume. because he'd been over to the UK about 4 or 5 times and been beaten by pretty much everyone. I know he put up a good fight against Zelfa Barra, but you know what I'm saying. So I thought it was just a routine run-of-the-mill win. And because Galahad had been in good form, I thought, yeah, they just brought him over here to get him on his record on possibly a knockout. And to see the way because let's face it as well, he was losing every round, apart from the end of the 5th. And to turn it around in that dramatic fashion, I'm giving it to him. There was one knockout that's not on your list, man, that I think is worthy of a mention. It's one of my favorite knockouts, actually. And that was Jose Cepeda versus Joshua Vargas. Yeah. And the reason for that is because not only was it a highlight reel knockout, it was one of my better moments because Vargas is just one of these young dickheads, for want of a better word, in the game now, who just think that they can just disrespect people. And he disrespected Cepeda in the run-up to the fight, in the press conferences, at the weigh-in, all sorts of stuff was going on. And to see the way Cepeda just nailed him like that, I think it was in the first round as well. It just cleaned him out like that, man. You know what I mean? That was alongside Cambosos and Teofimo Lopez. And that was like young punks getting their comeuppance. So that was one of my personal favorites. But yeah,
it's just a meme, innit, of that the 2 people crying in the crowd, man. Like
yeah. And like I said, the whole way he conducted himself in the league, shown Cepeda absolutely no respect. So for Cepeda to go in there and just starch him in the first round like that was beautiful, man. So yeah, I've got no problem with the ones on that list, but I would, out of those ones, I do have a problem with Valdez being on there because he's a cheat. But yeah, Kiko Martinez, man, salute.
Yeah. One other
another drugs cheat, by the way. Another drugs cheat got their comeuppance.
Yeah. One other knockout that could have been on there was that Bam Gardner against Terry Harvey.
Oh, yeah. And that was another big upset as well. Yeah.
It's a huge upset, man. But yeah, I'm going for the Smith Castillo. Castillo was literally, he was having a seizure on the floor, man.
That was horrible, man. That was horrible. I mean, listen, although we laugh and joke about it, I hope he's all right, because when guys get knocked out like that, they're very rarely the same when they come back. If he comes back.
I mean, I don't want to.
To see him convulsing on the floor like that. Once the initial euphoria has gone, then you start to think about the fighter himself. And it's a very dangerous sport, man. And yeah, we hope he's all right. Because previous to that, Lenin Castillo had always been quite a durable guy, which is why he was chosen for Callum Smith's fight, his first fight up at light heavyweight. So that was probably a career-ending knockout. Let's be real. You know what I mean? I'll be surprised if he comes back and does anything of note after a loss like that. So, and that's just how brutal boxing can be.
It was a chilling knockout, man. It was a brutal knockout. And obviously that was, when did that take place? I mean, that took place, that was on the undercard of AJ Usyk, wasn't it? Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I hope he's all right, for sure.
I hope he's all right, man. I hope he's all right.
Let's go to some comments here. Mohammed Zishan says Callum Smith wins it for him, for me as well. So we're in agreement there. Harvey says Valdez and Burchell. With everything else aside, it was a beautiful knockout. But, it's just...
Oscar Valdez for me, man. If I could, I'd cancel that guy. It's a fucking cheat. And he won't take... You know what else is upsetting about that for me as well? Is the fact that this guy won't take any responsibility for what he's done. You know what I mean? So he's a real piece of shit, to be honest. You know what I mean? So, yeah, let's cancel Oscar Valdez.
Conrad Boxing said here, the Rosado KO was so beautiful. Are we overlooking that knockout, man? He was a big underdog in that fight, Rosado.
Yeah, I mean, listen, everyone on that list there, apart from Valdez, I've co-signed. You know what I mean? That Rosado, I mean, again, that was a great knockout for the fact that he was a massive underdog and he was losing as well. He was brought over there as an opponent, wasn't he? As a name on that guy's record. So for him to turn it around like that with a beautifully timed punch. I mean, some people are trying to say it was a lucky. No way. He timed that because I think he'd thrown a shot like that a round or so earlier that had hurt him. And then he thrown the same shot around later and knocked him out. That was a beautiful knockout. Yeah. So he deserves credit for that.
DS has said here, Smith was the KO of the year. I agree. He says he took Castillo's soul.
Never mind his soul, he probably took a few brain cells as well. But like I said, I'm trying not to laugh too much because that was horrible, man. That was actually quite worrying to see him go down like that.
And Smith has he's had chilling knockout wins before. Who was the Frank Warren fighter that fought on Matchroom that time where Smith landed the left hook?
Yeah.
Is Callum Smith how big of a threat is he at light heavyweight? Because we talk about Yard and Boatsi and all the other guys, but Callum Smith has just entered that division this year. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's going to be a problem.
Yeah, he could be a sleeper in that division. He's definitely got talent. He can box and he can punch. But obviously, we've not seen enough of him at that weight yet because obviously, the way he got rid of Castillo, we don't really know yet how he's going to fare. Still early days in his light heavyweight career, but I'm sure he will be in the shake-up.
Yeah, sure. Stefan says here, Valdez Navarrete for me, but the fact he popped dirty ruins it.
Absolutely, it does.
He's also said, I'm going for Rosado against Beck or Galahad Martinez purely based on context, as both of them were big underdogs. I get that as well. I do get that. IA has said here, Rosado, in my opinion. Francisco says here, to which boxing personality, fight, or incident would you give the Payday of the Year award to?
Oh, well. I guess you'd have to give it to Avni Yildirim, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I think you would, yeah.
Yeah. You got Payday. That's all he got.
That's all he got, man. IA said here, the thing is, what Valdez took, a British fighter can legally take, that's because VAR allow it. It doesn't matter, IA. It does. I mean, he's not fighting under the British Boxing and Border Control. There are rules in there for a reason, and he failed the test. Do you know what I mean? We can't make excuses for him, man.
And the thing about that, it was everything surrounding that. It was just the way that was handled, the way they tried to dismiss it, comparing it to drinking a few Red Bulls was one ridiculous comment I heard. Then they tried to say, first they said it was a weight reducing drug. Then we find out that no, it actually works different to that. It acts like an amphetamine, you know what I mean? It energizes you. And then the way he was allowed to fight. And then when the fight did take place, the way they robbed Conceicao, the whole thing was just horrible. A real bad moment for the sport in 2021, that was. And it just took place under the auspices of the WBC. They just robbed Conceicao blind. You know what I mean? It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. A real low mark for boxing, that was. And everyone involved in it, apart from Conceicao, should hang their heads in shame.
Harvey says here, looking at just the knockout alone, I have to go for Valdez, but I completely understand Laurie's perspective on that. So, yeah, basically saying the same thing, yeah. Stefan says here, Martinez was losing every round. Rosado had previously been dropped as well. This stuff matters, in my opinion, when going for knockout of the year. And
I did reference that when I spoke about Martinez, because like I said, when that fight was made, remember me and Darren was on here saying that we might not even watch it. You know what I mean? That's how, you were saying you had absolutely no interest in that fight at all. So for him to then turn around and do that in a fight that he was losing, well on the way to losing, he's getting comfortably beaten up and outpointed. So to turn it around like that is amazing. So, yeah. And I would add as well that I do have an issue with Kid Galahad, although he's a talented fighter. Just because he's British, I'm not going to cap for him. He's got a dodgy past with drugs as well. So maybe that was his comeuppance.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think many people shed that many tears that day.
No, well, Darren Barker didn't seem to be shedding any tears. Oh! He seemed to be quite excited. He probably would never admit that. But I wonder if he was kind of having those thoughts that me and you have about Kid Galahad. Was he looking at another fighter and saying, well, that's your comeuppance? Because a lot of people in the game, if you speak to them, like I've done, a lot of people are not happy with Kid because he showed no contrition, no remorse, didn't apologize, just basically said, my excuse is that, and it is what it is. It was really, the way he handled that was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I've seen him in interviews when he's been asked by it, and he's very dismissive. And I just thought, nah, come on, bro. You fucking cheat. All this stuff about your brother, you and your brother had an argument, so he laced your food. Come on, bro. Stop it. Stop it already. You know what I mean?
Don't buy it at all. No.
Yeah. So to see him get knocked out like that, no one's really crying, bro, apart from his immediate circle of family and friends and fans or whatever, which he doesn't have that many anyway. Yeah, no one was really crying, bro. I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that.
Yeah. DS has said here, glad you mentioned Callum Smith at 175. He is the dark horse of that division. Yeah, he is. IA has said here, I agree. Canelo camp is lab. I hear you, IA. Stefan says here, I was legitimately speechless after that Martinez KO. I went a bit numb. I'm not going to lie. And then he says here, Kid Galahad's brother is a real piece of work. Yeah, I mean, later for Kid Galahad, man. And plus, I think a lot of people like Kiko Martinez as well. But, you know what I mean? I didn't shed no tears that night. I'll be real with you.
Like I said, I spoke to a few people online in WhatsApp groups and stuff like that. And the common consensus was, got your comeuppance, good riddance. So
let's move on to our next category anyway, man. We're going to go for Trainer of the Year, Laurie. Trainer of the Year. Always a common, category for the end of year awards. We've done our own version, of course. Let's get it up, man. Trainer of the Year. Oh, where are we? Let me get up. All over the place right here. Bear with. Trainer of the Year. Get this up. Bear with.
I was going to say, for your knockout of the year, how comes you didn't have Jake Paul on there?
I thought about it, but I just, what I mean? Again, it's just me. My awards. It's just my awards. It's not necessarily the be all and end all. But I just thought. Nah.
1 second, Darryl. Carry on. 1 second.
I mean, for me, I wasn't gonna go for that. Not for me. Right, let's have a look. Let's get the nominees up for Trainer of the Year. Right. Here we go. Trainer of the Year. We've got Eddie Reynoso. Obviously, he's had a very successful year. You only got to look at the likes of Canelo Alvarez. I guess you got to put Oscar Valdez in there, but also the likes of Frank Sanchez. Do you know what I mean? He's got a very solid gym of fighters there. A winner's mentality in that gym. A lot of winners in there. And he definitely has to be in that list. Sugar Hill Steward, you saw the work he's done, obviously with Tyson Fury in that third Wilder fight. Bomac had a very good start of the year with Jamel Herring. Obviously, he defeated Carl Frampton earlier that year. He was the underdog in that fight. He did eventually lose to Shakur Stevenson later on, but the win over Carl Frampton was big. Also guided Crawford to win over Porter. Got a very good gym over there, Bomac. He's also training Amir Khan right now. Shane McGuigan moving up the levels again this year. His fighters continue to win. Ben Davison, Devin Haney was really pushing for Ben Davison to be in that list. Do you know what I mean? He guided Josh Taylor to undisputed. Obviously, he was in the corner as well for Devin Haney. Then you've got Anatoly Lomachenko as well. So, Laurie, that's my list here for Trainer of the Year. For me, out of these guys, I have to give it to Eddie, man. I have to give it to Eddie because, again, maybe you could see it as having a bit of an advantage over the other guys in terms of, what he's got at his resource. Some of the fighters that he's got in his gym, he's more likely to be involved in the bigger fights. But, you've got to get yourself in that position as well. So for me, very successful year. Likes of Canelo. I like what he's doing with Frank Sanchez. He looks very good. He obviously guided Oscar Valdez to win over Burchell. That fight, Valdez was the underdog. So, in this list for me, I'm going Eddie Reynoso.
Yeah, I'm going for Eddie Reynoso. Again, I'm going to apply the same caveat that I did for Canelo, assuming he's clean, because we know that Oscar Valdez wasn't clean during this last year. And we know that Canelo in the past has not been clean. So can we really state with all honesty that this is a clean gym? I can't really, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Valdez, we know, popped dirty in 2021, but Canelo and Frank Sanchez haven't. So yeah, I'm kind of reluctantly going for Eddie Reynoso. Shout out to Ben Davison and Shane McGuigan, 2 British trainers, man, who are doing good things. But everyone on that list, they're all good trainers. But I think if you're going to give it to one person, as I said, reluctantly, I'd have to go with Eddie Reynoso for the reasons I've stated. But yeah, fair enough.
I like the look of Shane McGuigan, man. I think that he's got a very, I mean, he's been doing it for a couple of years now on the training circuit. But I like, you know, how he's pushing his fighters. You know what I mean? There's definitely a winning mindset there. Robert Davis Jr., even him, you know, the way how he got him to, like, was it Dave? Yeah, Ben Davis. Yeah, it was. I mean, he's, for me, someone that, you know, if I was on the come up and I was looking for a trainer in the UK, he's probably someone that I'm looking at. Do you know what I mean? He's getting up there, and I think he's progressing every year. Look what he's doing with Lawrence Okoli. Do you know what I mean? I think he's had another good year.
Yeah, like I said, it's good to see the British trainers getting some recognition. And to be fair to Ben Davison, I do owe him a bit of an apology. I remember when he first came in the game, he was associated with the corner work with Billy Joe Saunders. I think there was one fight where Billy Joe Saunders had where he looked very unimpressive. He won the fight, but he looked pretty poor. And Ben Davison was in the corner that night, and he copped a lot of stick for the corner work, which a lot of people said wasn't very good. So to see where he's come and where he is now, you know what I mean, training guys like Tyson Fury. Even when he started off training Fury, a lot of people weren't convinced, myself included. A lot of people just kind of looked at it like, yeah, he was a good mate that helped Tyson Fury go through a rough patch. As soon as Fury got out of that, he kind of bounced him. But to be fair to Ben Davison, man, he's done some good work with other fighters. And more recently, when I've heard him in the corner, the advice he's given does seem very sound. And the fighters do seem to benefit from it. So you've got to give him credit. And that's one of the things when I'm watching boxing, because I box myself and I appreciate how important corner work is. And indeed, I'm a qualified boxing coach and I've been in corners before. I always listen out for what coaches are saying in the corner, because I think it's so important. You get 1 minute, and in that time you have to give advice. You have to, you know, make sure the fighter's in the right mental frame of mind. You have to say it's a crucial point in the fight, that is, you know what I mean? So I'm always interested to hear what they say and how they conduct themselves. And Ben Davison has impressed me more recently. So yeah, man, give credit where it's due, innit?
Yeah, he's in the corner for Billy Joe against Canelo. He was in the corner for, I know he wasn't the head trainer in that fight, but he was still in the corner. Also for Devin Haney, who's really pushing for Ben Davison to get trainer of the year. You know, he's really impressed with Ben Davison. Devin Haney is. Also, with Josh Taylor as well. Josh Taylor has done well with him.
Yeah, Devin Haney's worked with a number of trainers, a number of top trainers. And so for him to reference Ben Davison in that way shows you that he's impressed, because, you know, I mean, like I said, he's worked with a lot of different trainers. So, yeah.
Overall, though, yeah, I think going back to my pick, I'm going with Eddie Reynoso. Do you know what I mean? There's definitely, I know people have what they're going to say about that gym, but, you know, like the fighters that he's got there, the sort of winning mentality that he's got these guys under. Like I said, I like what he's doing with Frank Sanchez and Canelo. You know, he was the one that guided him to Undisputed in terms of working with him every day in the gym. Like,
and shout out to Bomac as well, man, because he trains who, in my opinion, is a pound for pound #1 fighter in the world, Terence Crawford, unbeaten, won titles of 3 different weights, cleaned out light welterweight, unbeaten as a welterweight. All his title defenses and fights at welterweight have ended in stoppage, so you can't ask for much more than that. Yeah, so Bomac's done big things, man. So yeah, he deserves mention as well. So yeah, shout out to him.
Shout out to all the trainers on the list. Let's have a look at some of the comments and see what you guys are saying as your trainer of the year. Let's have a look right here. Let's go scroll up in the comments. Harvey says here, I think we know who Laurie's trainer of the year is based on his background. And yeah, so it proved. It actually was Eddie Reynoso. So yeah, that was your trainer of the year, Laurie. Mohammed Zisha said here, Eddie Reynoso. Dean Sinclair has put here, only one winner, Eddie Reynoso. Conrad, Eddie Reynoso. Harvey says here, Ben isn't as bad as some people make him out to be. I agree. He is a bit annoying, but, you know, like you said, Laurie, you've got to give him respect where it's due.
Yep, you do. Yeah, and like I said, it's good to see British trainers getting, you know, recognition, because they haven't always had that, have they? British trainers. It's always been the domain of the Americans and Mexicans. Yeah. So see the British fighters being mentioned is great.
Yeah.
British
trainers. Hopefully we can get some more British trainers, you know, on that list eventually, man.
I think Dave Cole was a very good trainer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a good trainer. He deserves some recognition. And there's a few others around as well, man, that are good. I like, as I said to you in previous weeks, I like the look at Andy Lee. Early days yet.
Yeah.
But I do like the look of Andy Lee as a trainer. He looks very good to me.
Yeah, definitely did well in that last fight there with Joseph Parker and Derek Chisora, man. I like the look of Joseph Parker.
Shout out to Tony Sims. The work he's done with Conor Benn. Conor Benn, to me, is our most improved fighter in the UK. So clearly the Sims are having some good impressions there, aren't they, with the work they're doing there? So that's good too.
Harvey says here, who's Jake Paul's trainer? Why is he not in there? Listen, man, I mean, Jake Paul, he's come on a lot. I mean, in terms of, you know, his standing in boxing, I guess we can say.
Never mind the trainers, the people around Jake Paul that should get the credit are the matchmakers, because I've never known somebody to get matched so easy in all my life. And people are kicking up a big fuss about Jake Paul. They should remember who he's fighting. I mean, former UFC fighters, you know what I mean? Guys that are well past their best in the UFC, put on a pair of boxing gloves, getting knocked out by Jake Paul, and everyone's getting all excited. Come on now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's fought like old basketball players and old UFC guys. Yeah, he's knocked them out, but come on now. You know what I mean? So maybe Jake Paul's matchmaker should get a special award.
Maybe we should. We've got two more categories for me anyway. And then I know you want to get on to yours as well, Laurie. But two more categories for me. I'm looking forward to doing this one here, because this one here, let me share my screen again, is the disappointment of the year. One of the biggest disappointments for 2021, there was a few of them. You actually mentioned one to me that's not on this list that I think now should have been on there. And that was the Valdez Conceição fight. Just the whole situation around that fight and the way how it ended up with the WBC in cahoots there with Oscar Valdez and his team. Then the fight happening when it shouldn't have. And then no punishment given to Valdez. And then Valdez getting the win, which was controversial. So, yeah, that could have been easily on this list here. But I'll go through the list anyway. The first one here is the lightweight division. I'm not going to say the word. It's a swear word to me right now. But you know what I mean. With these four guys, we didn't see any of them fight each other. Do you know what I mean? A lot of talking, a lot of posturing. None of them fight each other. I'm not going to blame Devin Haney as much. Teofimo Lopez, a lot of talking. Then he ended up losing. Ryan Garcia had one fight at the beginning of the year. Then he went ghost. Gervonta Davis just fighting who he wants to fight, or who his team want him to fight. No indication that he's going to fight any of the top guys at lightweight. So, yeah, the excitement around that division and the way how it ended up was disappointing for me in 2021. Also, still no Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, man. We still haven't got that fight. 2022 is going to be the last year that I'm really going to push for this fight. If we don't get it next year, forget about it. I don't even want to hear about it anymore. We should have had this fight by now. Granted, there has been some issues. We know what's happened with Errol Spence outside of the ring. But, you know, he did choose to fight Pacquiao over Crawford in the summer. We know the Pacquiao fight didn't happen. But, yeah, the fact that this fight is still not happening just shows, you know, the state of boxing politics. This fight right here, not even just the fight, the whole circus around it, the whole embarrassment around it, Floyd Mayweather bringing himself down to this guy here's level, it was embarrassing. And then not only that, he lays an egg in that fight as well. It was just a terrible exhibition. And then after, he basically said that, yeah, I robbed the bank. You know what I mean? I did what I had to do. I made money out of you lot. So just no remorse, no feeling towards the fans or anything like that. It was just a terrible night for boxing for me. that was. This one right here, AJ and Fury collapsing. We were given a talk, one more week. This fight is going to happen. It's definitely happening. AJ and Fury was the fight. It was the biggest fight. Well, it still is the biggest fight of British boxing history. But now maybe it's not as big as it would have been if they would have fought each other back then, because AJ had the belts, Fury had the belt. It was a huge fight. I think we were coming out of lockdown then as well. Do you know what I mean? So it was something for us all to look forward to. Huge fight, undisputed, all British showdown. We didn't get it. This fight right here, we talk about it every week. These two guys hiding in plain sight. Why these two ain't fought each other, I don't know. This will always be up there until they fight. I'm giving this fight till next year as well. If they don't fight next year, I don't want to hear anything more about it. Also, right here, Evander Holyfield, just the embarrassment of that fight against Belfort. That whole Triller show was a mess. Triller are bad for boxing for me. Allowing these fights to take place. This fight wasn't even sanctioned in California. It had to move to Florida for this fight to happen when everybody knows that it shouldn't have. Yeah, just a bad night for boxing. Holyfield, I don't know how old he is. He's in his mid-50s, I think. Yeah, so just the fact that this happened was just a joke. That's my disappointment of the year categories. All of them. You got a good shout for all of them. I think Mayweather Ball was up there for me. Same with the Holyfield comeback. But I'm going to go for AJ and Fury not happening. That was a big disappointment for me. I remember at the time, I was just like almost done with boxing because it was a lot of other things as well. But with this, it kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back at the time. AJ and Fury collapsing due to the fact, obviously, I'm British. I wanted to see that. It was a huge fight, undisputed heavyweight, would have been massive. But we didn't get to see it. We probably won't see it. You know what I mean? Not for undisputed anyway. But like I said, there's a lot of disappointments out of these. You could really go for any of them. Like I said, Mayweather Paul gets an honourable mention for me, as well as Evander Holyfield. But I'm going to go for AJ and Fury, Laurie.
Right, listen, all of those were disappointing, as you say, but I'm going to tweak your disappointment of the year slightly. My disappointment of the year, without any shadow of the doubt, is Ryan Garcia. That guy he was disappointing to the point where he really got on my nerves. And towards the end of this year, I can't even bear to hear his name. That guy, and the fact is, the guy's got so much talent. Coming off a very good win, even though he got knocked down and got exposed just a little bit. But anyway, he's a young fighter, so you give him the benefit of the doubt. For him to not fight at all after that fight against Luke Campbell, he cried off with mental health. Maybe I shouldn't use the word cried off because, listen, man, I am not going to be able to determine whether a guy's mental health issues are legit or not. But it's his conduct, the way he's carried himself in that time, always on Twitter, always criticizing other fighters, calling man out, not taking fights, pulling out, and just being a complete Twitter troll. To see him waste his time and his talent like that. He even got called out by Canelo for being unprofessional and stuff. To me, he's by far the biggest disappointment. And there's been a lot of disappointments in boxing, but he's definitely one of them, and he would get the award in my view. Ryan Garcia. He's epitomized the kind of poor behavior from a lot of these young fighters at the moment, who rather than get in a gym and train and fight, are content to troll people. If he puts another video out of him hitting a speedball or a bagger, I think I'm going to throw something at my screen though, seriously. You know what I mean? The guy's just nauseating like that, man. Somebody around him should say, Ryan, stop uploading videos of you hitting a bag unless you're in training for a real fight. And if you are in training for a real fight, honor it. You know what I mean? Stop dropping out, pulling out of injuries and all sorts of different excuses. And like I said, it only matters because we know that deep down, this guy is very talented. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, for me, he gets the disappointment of the year without any shadow of a doubt. But there are awards, you know what I mean? Like I said, I want to give away too.
He was very disappointing, man. I mean, just the way how it was a great win over Luke Campbell. Ultimately, Luke Campbell's last fight. hollering off at Gervonta Davis, just saying, yeah, you better fight me next. You better do this. If you don't fight me next, man, you're a coward. You're this.
Yeah.
Fight it. It's just unreal with this guy, man.
Telling people he was going to fight Manny Pacquiao when that fight. When they asked Manny Pacquiao about that fight, he said, "What fight? I've got no one said anything to me about fighting Ryan Garcia." You know what I mean? It's things like that, and then the way he, like you said, criticizing other fighters like Tank and Devin Haney who were active in 2021. Meanwhile, you're there with your girlfriend making cheesy little TikTok videos. Then every time you're in your garage or in your house hitting a bag, you think it's entertaining for you to upload that for your 14-year-old female fans or 50-something male fans. It's just, man, it was beyond disappointing. You know what I mean?
Let's go to some of the comments here, man. Let's see. So just to summarize, my disappointment of the year was AJ Fury negotiations collapsing. Yours was, you tweaked it a little bit, Ryan Garcia.
Ryan Garcia, without any shadow of a doubt.
Let's go through some of these comments here. Mohammed Zishan says, the Holyfield comeback was the most disappointing. The way he was treated by Triller just to put money in their pockets, and also the people around him were disappointing. And the fact they let him fight, probably for the money as well. Very disappointing that was. Just a shit show.
Listen, Holyfield, right? I actually feel sorry for him. He needs saving from himself. That's what needs to happen with guys like that. People need to rally around and say, look, he's not going to fight. But that requires somebody with a modicum of integrity. But unfortunately, like you said, there's people around him who are looking to make a buck and they don't care. The fact that this guy is not only risking his health, but he's embarrassing himself. And really and truly, man, that legacy that he built up, he's in danger of it diminishing if he carries on with this. You know what I mean? And it's so sad to see. But the problem is you've got some people out there, they don't care how they make a buck. They will do it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And they're just exploiting the man. He needs to be saved from himself. It's as simple as that. I mean, what was even worse than that was Riddick Bowe was trying to make a comeback in that year. And if you've seen or heard Riddick Bowe recently, for him to even be considered for fighting or getting a license or anything like that is just mind-blowing, because the guy...
Was that Triller as well? That was Triller as well, wasn't it?
Oh, God. But seriously, whoever does this, they need to be thrown in jail, people like that. Yeah. Seriously, it's just unbelievable that people could even consider allowing Riddick Bowe to fight. Anyone, you know what I mean? Like, it's absolutely mind-boggling how this is allowed to happen.
Harvey says here, AJ Fury collapsing easily gets it for me. I feel like a bit of a twat for buying into all that BS. I agree. That was obviously my pick for disappointment of the year. I felt like it as well. I think that's why I was so upset, because I really I really believed it would happen. I had casuals messaging me like, oh, this is going to be amazing, man. Like I said, we were in lockdown around that time. I think that was a fight where we were like, yo, we could look forward to this, man. This is huge. Do you know what I mean? Even though it weren't taking place in the UK, we just thought, yeah, AJ and Fury, man, undisputed, all the belts, all British showdown, heavyweight division. Two big characters would have divided the UK, but in a good way for me. It would have been just great. Do you know what I mean? But the way how that collapsed, man, was just, it was horrendous. That's what took it for me.
Yeah, that was disappointing.
DS has said here that AJ Fury collapse, followed by the sadness of Holyfield's quote-unquote comeback. I know why Harvey's laughing. He's definitely laughing at your critique of Ryan Garcia. Francisco says here, I agree with your critique of Ryan Garcia, but for me, no Crawford versus Spence has been the biggest disappointment for the past 3 years, not just this year, 3 years. Will we get that fight? Will we ever get it?
It's difficult. What, you mean the Bud Crawford Spence fight?
Yeah.
I'm not holding up much hope. I mean, more recently, in recent weeks, I've seen stuff online where Spence is saying he does want to fight, but then he said that before. So, and he appears to be the one that's slowing this up. So who knows, man? Who knows? Yeah.
Well, I hope so, man. But yeah, it's all of them. Like I said, Mayweather Paul as well. That was a that was literally a joke for me. It was an embarrassment. That was just the antics before the fight. Like I said, there was a lot to be disappointed at with that particular episode. Floyd not conducting himself in a lot of glory. You know,
well, that's no surprise, isn't it? Anything that Floyd Mayweather's involved in these days seems to have an air of disappointment about it. He doesn't really conduct himself in a good light at all, to be honest, which is a shame because you're talking about the best fighter of our generation by some distance, in my opinion.
Being dragged to that level.
Yeah, one of the greatest fighters of all time, and he's just reduced himself as a bit of a caricature at the moment, to be honest. Even the way he handles Tank or mishandles Tank is probably a more appropriate term. It's not good to see, man. He clearly doesn't know what he's doing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, he's another one that doesn't cover himself in glory.
Big up IB here. He's saying, have a great new year, guys. We'll catch up properly later. Same to you, IB, man. Have a great time, whatever you decide to do. And we'll catch up in the new year. Thank you for joining. Francisco said here, maybe Laurie has already planned this for his awards, but who gets the Excuse of the Year award?
The person who gets the Excuse of the Year award is the person that I have also nominated for one of my own awards, which I'm calling Dickhead of the Year award.
Shall we wait? Shall we do? I got one more, and then we'll get to your award. Shall we do that?
Right, go on.
All right. One more award for me, and this is a fight to watch for 2022. These fights here, I know you can basically pick out any fight that you'd like to see for 2022, but the list that I've got here are basically fights that are either confirmed, definitely happening, or they're on the verge of happening. So, I mean, I'm sure you could think of other fights like Crawford and Spence, for example, but I'm not getting any indication that that's happening. So I've just gone for these 6 here. I'm sure you can pick your own ones, but out of this 6 on this list here, a fight to watch for 2022, Usyk AJ 2. A lot of intrigue going into that one. A lot on the line for AJ. If he loses it, where does he go from there? A lot of intrigue into that rematch there. Was it a fluke? Will Usyk do it again? We'll see. Fury against White. It might not happen next, but it's looking like something's going to have to go down with these two. Otherwise, it will go to purse bids. I think the WBC are allowing Tyson Fury now to have one fight in the interim, but hopefully we do see this year. I'm still confident that something will happen between these two. Claressa Shields and Savannah Marshall, history between these two, both of them unbeaten. Huge fight in women's boxing. I really want to see it. So that fight there, it's looking like that will be likely for next year as well. You know, they're building that fight up on Boxer. So that is looking like a very good possibility for next year. This fight is already happening next year. It might be 6-7 years too late, but the build-up so far to this and the fact that it sold out in 10 minutes, Khan and Brooke, that's definitely one to watch out for. Taylor and Serrano, another female fight here. Huge fight in women's boxing. Eddie Hearn calls it the biggest fight in women's boxing history. Well, I don't know about that, but yeah, it's a huge fight. And I'm really intrigued as to how that one will go. And then obviously we've got Kambosos and Haney. That's looking like a possibility for next year as well. Yeah, undisputed. It settles all the dispute between this whole nonsense that's going on with the belts. So looking forward to that, especially if it's in Australia as well. For me, if I'm to pick one out of here, I'm going to say it's tough, man, because I'm really looking forward to both of these female fights here. I think Usyk and AJ too for the intrigue, man. Can Usyk do it again? What happens if AJ loses? You know, it's huge. What are the implications, man? I mean, what will AJ do in the rematch? Will he have a new trainer? Do you know what I mean? Where's it going to be? There's a lot surrounding this fight, man. It's heavy. All the belts on the line. Well, most of the belts are on the line. We're going to see. What sort of adjustments will AJ make? Yeah, for me, I'll go for this one here. Usyk and AJ too. That's going to be my fight out of this list. But like I said, I'm really looking forward to, and I really hope we see Fury against White. Taylor and Serrano. I think that Serrano might, I know they were supposed to fight before, but yeah, I mean, that's going to be a firefight. So is this one, Shields and Marshall. But yeah, I'm going to go for Usyk and AJ too, Laurie.
Yeah, I mean, all of those 6 are good fights, but to me, there's one standout on there, and maybe it's because I've got a prevalence for undisputeds. Kambosos Haney, man. Kambosos coming off that great win against Teofimo. He's unbeaten. He's in great form. Like you said, the fight looks like it might take place in Australia. That in itself will be a massive event. You're talking 75, 80,000 people against Devin Haney, who's one of the young stars of boxing coming up. I think his ceiling is really high. And out of all of those 6 fights, don't get me wrong, all of them in their own way are exciting and good to watch. But for me, the Kambosos, if you gave me a choice between going to one of those 6, I would definitely choose Kambosos Haney.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what the people in the comments are saying here. I mean, it's all of them. I'd love to go and see all of them. That's why they're there. But yeah, some good choices made. Let's see what everybody else is saying in the comments. Conrad has put here Kambosos and Haney at number 1, so he agrees with you. Then he's put Usyk and AJ as number 2, and for number 3, he's put here probably Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall. So they're his picks for the fight for 2022. He's got Kambosos and Haney as number 1 as well. So yeah, I think, you know, it was looking. I mean, it still is likely to happen. I think it will. But you know, Kambosos at the moment, man, he's exploring his options. I saw what he put on Twitter the other day. He said something like, "Who would you guys like to see me fight next?" Devin Haney got a bit rattled by that because he believed that he was the first in line to get a shot at Kambosos.
Devin Haney is the first in line. I'm not sure if I like that from Kambosos. I think the obvious fight to make is a Devin Haney one, because Devin Haney's got the other belt that he needs to be undisputed. So I don't even know why Lomachenko and people like that are entering into the equation. The fight that should be made is him versus Devin Haney. And to be fair to Devin Haney, we all saw Kambosos give an undertaking to unify the belts. So I think you should follow through with that. But hey, we're just fans. But that's a fight I want to see anyway.
Is he just doing it to...
It's a fight that Kambosos could win. You know what I mean? So let's do it, man. 2 good fighters. You know what I mean? Their paths are ultimately going to meet. Let's make the fight. Let's make it happen. Whoever loses...
I really hope that's in Australia.
Yeah, whoever loses...
I really hope it's in Australia.
Yeah. So...
Mohammed Zishan has said... Go on.
No, let's do it. Let's get the undisputed. That's what we all want in boxing, man. There's too many belts in boxing. There's too many so-called world champions. If you can have an opportunity to unify the belts, unify the belts.
Mohammed Zishan has said here, my number 1 is Usyk and AJ. Then it's Haney, Kambosos, and number 3, it's Khan and Brook. And with Khan and Brook, you know, we've been waiting for this for so long. It's finally going to happen next year. Hopefully, restrictions permitting, we get to see that. But yeah, a long time coming. Finally, that grudge will be settled in 2022. So yeah, that's got.
Yeah, I mean that's a very good fight to watch. It's going to be entertaining. But let's be honest, it's a novelty fight, isn't it? Because let's keep it 100. Whoever wins that fight, they're not going to win any world titles at this stage in their career. Like you said earlier, it's a fight that shouldn't happen many years ago. It's like 5, 6, maybe even 7 years too late, but at least we're going to see it. I'm expecting it to be competitive. At this moment in time, I'm edging towards Khan, but you can't write Kell Brook out, because I could see him knocking out Khan, coming from behind on the scorecards. I could see him doing that. So it will be entertaining. And then, of course, you got the build-up, the grudge match element. It will make for some very entertaining viewing. But let's be honest, it's a novelty fight.
Big up WM in the building. He's put, yo, I'm late to the ceremony. Merry Christmas to you both. Yo, you missed it, bro. But you know what? Don't worry. Laurie's got his own set of awards here that he wants to go through. I've got no idea what these awards are, by the way. So we're going to have a look. Laurie, over to you.
It's a bit of fun, just some semi-serious stuff, man. I mean, promoter of the year, I would have gone for Eddie Hearn. I don't know what you think, but, you know, Eddie Hearn does get a lot of criticism, a lot of flack.
What about Leonard Enemy?
Oh, no, not at all. I've nominated him for one of my other awards. I'll tell you that in a minute. But yeah.
No doubt about it, man. Eddie Hearn's the best promoter going right now by far for me.
Yeah. Yeah, he gets a lot of stick, Eddie, but I think all things being considered, man, he does put on good fights. He puts on entertaining shows. At least the undercards of his shows are decent, unlike a lot of the other promoters who just most of their undercards are just a collection of mismatches. So, you know, I mean, give Eddie Hearn credit for that. Yeah, so the award I referenced earlier, Dickhead of the Year. Now, in boxing, unfortunately, it's a sport where, unfortunately, there are a number of such people, of which Leonard Ellaby, who you just mentioned there, he's one that could get nominated for it. So yeah, I mean, you could have people like Teofimo Lopez and his dad, Leonard Ellaby, Jamel and Jamal Charlo, Big John Fury, Ryan Garcia, Dan Rafael, Gareth Davis. You know what I mean? But I think 2021 Dickhead of the Year, man. It did. I did have to think about this one, you know. It wasn't an
it's not easy.
It's not. But I've got to go for Teofimo Lopez's dad, man. That guy was the most obnoxious guy in 2021. And he was so bad that a lot of people, myself included, wanted who is a very good fighter, Teofimo Lopez, wanted him to lose just so the dad could get humbled, because he was just, his ego was just, I wouldn't say going out of control. It had already gone out of control by the time, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I just want to put that out there. Dickhead of the Year, Teofimo Lopez Sr., a real obnoxious and nauseating character. And I hope he will learn from what's happened to him and come back 2022 a better person. But you know what? I've got no real confidence that he's going to do that. And again, like I said, some other people that were worthy of a mention in that regard. Big John Fury, another guy that's just, some people, I don't know how, but they find this guy entertaining. I just think he's a complete knob. But yeah. And then, like I said, Jamel and Jamal Charlo, their behavior. They're both very good fighters, which is, again, makes it a real shame. But the way they conduct themselves outside the ring is just, again, boorish, obnoxious, odious, and you just think, come on, man, really? You know? So, yeah.
I think Jamel Charlo's up there, man. Like, and the brother, I'm just thinking about that incident where they were at the fight in the crowd, and then somebody had their phone out. He's hitting their phone, and I'm just like, yo, man, these are just fans. You know what I'm saying? They're just trying to film me. Why are you acting like that for?
The week before that, apparently, or a couple of weeks before that, it was in some restaurant. There was a query with a bill. We started throwing things around in the restaurant, abusing the staff.
Yeah, it could be them, you know. I think it's them. He's with Lopez's dad. That's how he is. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's his character or whatever. But them two, they're actually doing this, you know, in public gatherings at restaurants and stuff. These two are idiots, man.
Yeah, I think it's them two. It's just totally obnoxious, both of them. Yeah. And you think to yourself, if you get beat, then you know what? I can take that because it will just humble you. Hopefully, you know what I mean? But then again, Jamel Charlo lost and it didn't humble him. Do
you know what the worst thing about it with those two as well? Is like when somebody steps to you, you're not on it. Look what happened when Danny Jacobs stepped to Jamal. Look what happened when Jared Hurd stepped to Jamel. These guys got all the talk for everything else, man. Talking all this shit on Twitter, everything else. You know, doing that to the fan that had their phone out. Kicking up a fuss in the restaurant. But when these other fighters are stepping to you, man, you're not doing nothing.
Yeah.
Danny Jacobs pulled up on you, man. A couple of years ago, he pulled up on you. You didn't say nothing to him. Jared Hurd pulled up on you, even slapped you. You didn't do anything. So I can't respect them, man. Even like, I don't rate it. I don't rate it.
Their whole energy, man, is just horrible. You know what I mean? They are the products of people that's been spoilt by money and fame. Because I remember back when the Charlos started out, they seemed like all right guys. A lot of people really liked them. Remember when they had the dreadlocks and all stuff like that? I remember them from then. You know what I mean? But now they've achieved success, they've got money, they've got fame, and it's just totally gone to their head. Just like what happened with Teofimo. You know what I mean? Just can't handle it. Yeah, so Dickhead of the Year is probably the Charlo should share it. But like I said, Teofimo Lopez Sr. was a real pain in the ass all year, man. Wasteman of the year, Dimitri Bivol. Is it him or is it Ryan Garcia? Both of them were wasteman. You know what I mean? Like,
why? What's your reasons?
With Bivol, he don't want to fight no one. He just wants to operate under the radar, doesn't it? And it's annoying. He don't want to fight Beterbiev. He's not calling anyone meaningful out. He's just hiding in plain sight, and people are sick of it. Especially, what's particularly jarring about that is that you've got a division there, the light heavyweight division, that's buzzing with a lot of talent, and you've got a guy that holds a belt, and he don't want to fight no one. And he's been doing this now for a few years now, and everyone's just got sick of it. And yeah, man, just get out. If you don't want to fight, people, if you don't want to fight, just get out the sport, man, because you're just slowing up the pace. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna say Ryan Garcia, man.
Yeah, Ryan Garcia.
The
only reason I never put him as waste man of the year is because I had him as my disappointment of the year. But definitely,
I'm gonna say him because if we're going by the term waste man, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm saying him because he's got the ability. He had it all there for him. Do you know what I mean? He had the potential to go even further this year. Started it off great, and then he just, you know what I mean? Then he just faded off in the sunset, man. Just, you know what I mean? Becoming
like if I see one more video of that guy hitting the pads or a speedball or something like that, I think I'm gonna throw.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Ryan Garcia for me.
Yeah.
Not quite a dickhead like the Charlos and stuff like that, but in terms of waste man, that kind of fits him. DS agrees as well. He's even saying it. Ryan Garcia. Yeah. Harvey's saying it as well. Waste man of the year. So yeah.
And to end on a positive note, and I'm going to sound a bit biased now, but boxing YouTube channel of the year goes to none other than the Boxing Lowdown.
Big up, man.
Everyone out there watching, man, share this video, get your friends and family and associates to like, share and subscribe and get this channel over that 1,000 landmark, where it deserves to be. But yeah, I mean, I just want to end by saying, listen, man, thanks for inviting me on the show and thanks for all the good work that you've been doing over the last year and years before that. Keep it up, man. 2022 is going to be a big year for you, man. I can see it now.
Do you know what, Laurie? I think I've forgotten a category.
What's that?
I think I forgot. We didn't do the upset of the year, did we?
No, but we spoke about that at length last week. And we were in agreement that Kambosos beating Lopez was the upset of the year. Remember, we spoke about that last week. So
we did. I did create a category for it, but I actually haven't got it here. But for me, my upset of the year would have went to Galahad and Martinez, just for reference. I know I haven't put the graphic up, but I did actually create one. So I was going to give it to Martinez against Galahad, just to speak. But yeah, carry on, Laurie.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it. We spoke about this last week, and I gave it to Kambosos because of the magnitude of the event. I can see why some people would have gone for Kiko Martinez, because in the bigger scheme of things, he was the bigger underdog, wasn't he? Really, but I think it was the magnitude of the fight and the fact that Kambosos pulled it off like that against somebody that was so highly touted, and the way he did it. It was a great fight. Yeah, man. I'd give it to Kambosos, although I can understand why some people might have gone for Martinez.
Harvey's put here, of course, Daryl's done bits this year, and you, of course, as well, Laurie. Big up Harvey, man. Francisco says, who's the most annoying fanboy commentator journalist of the year? For him, it's Chris Mannix. For me, it's Gareth Davis. Laurie, who's yours?
It's got, for me, Mannix, Gareth Davis, and Dan Raphael should share that award. All of them are annoying as each other. They just get on my nerves.
Mohammed says here, what's both of your goals for 2022 and goals for this channel? Snap. Upset of the year. Lara Warrington won. Nah, that's got to be, that might be the upset. Is that or shit, man?
Well, we spoke about this already last week. I'm still going for Kambosos Lopez. Because you have to remember, Lopez was being taught, remember the Four Kings? And he was talking about moving up in weight and fighting Josh Taylor and people like that.
Mm-hmm.
So for Kambosos to come from Australia all the way over to America and do what he did on, let's face it, a promotion that was heavily suited towards Teofimo Lopez, that's big things right there.
Yeah. I'm going to stick with Martinez and Galahad. Mohammed Zishan says here, what's both your goals for 2022 and goals for this channel? You know what? It's just, I mean, it's for this channel, you know, it's just really to just get more, even more interactions like we're getting now. Do you know what I mean? Just continue to build, get the subs up, and then go from there, really. Try and be more consistent as well. Some of the videos, it's hard. Do you know what I mean? It's hard juggling a full-time job, another job on the side. I also do my events as well, and then to do this as well. So it's like, it's a lot going on. Barely have any time to rest. But I know nobody wants to hear that. But yeah, sometimes if I haven't done a video for a couple of days, that's the reason why. So it is hard. But yeah, I'd say just to keep being consistent with the content, trying to get subs up, and then we'll see where it takes us next year, man, for sure. I'd say that.
Yeah, and with myself, it's just to help Daryl out, see how far he can take the channel. First and foremost, we've got to get over this 1,000 subs, and then maybe make it 2,000 by the end of 2022. You never know, because I think the hardest thing is getting your first 1,000, isn't it? A lot of people said to me, once you've got over that landmark, the second 1,000 is, if anything, a little easier than the first 1,000. So once we get over the 1,000 mark, the obvious aim is to get to 2,000. Yeah,
it's hard, man. It's very hard. I think obviously if I was to do interviews or something like IFL or try and do that sort, go that way, maybe I would have got there sooner, but it's just not my style. I prefer doing it like this, and you know, if I can't do it this way, then you know what I mean, what's the point? DS has said here, Raphael or Davis, that's his most annoying commentator fanboy of the year or journalist. So he's saying Dan Raphael or Gareth Davis. Harvey said here, I've seen the events on your Insta, Daryl. They look good, bro. Trust me, bro. Harvey, if you can get to one of them one day, you should. Laura, you know how good they are.
Yeah, man. They're lit. They're lit. Yeah. And I'm saying that as an older person as well. So, yeah, I'm sure you enjoy it. Come down, man.
Yeah, come down, bro. Come down.
Talk about boxing.
But yeah, overall, been a very good year, man. Met some great people along the way. Hopefully next year we can continue to do that and the channel can grow. But big up to everybody for being a part of the journey, man. If this channel ever did blow, if it ever did get to that stage where, you know, we got loads of people in here every week and stuff like that, I won't forget the people that have been here. Do you know what I mean? I won't forget the people that have been commenting on the posts and, do you know what I mean? Leaving comments on the stream. I won't forget any of those guys. So yeah, big up to everybody. And we'll see where 2022 takes us. Wrapping it up for this year, just want to say big up to you all. Enjoy whatever you're doing on New Year's Eve. Stay safe. And look forward to catching up with you all in 2022. We already got a fight on New Year's Day. Luis Ortiz against Charles Martin. That should be a good fight. So yeah, big up to you all, guys. Enough love. And we'll catch you all at the beginning of next year.
Same for me. Good luck to everybody. Hope you're well, healthy, and COVID-free. If you do have COVID, I wish you a quick recovery. Hoping you all have a great 2022. I'm out.